Good morning everyone. Welcome to the mobile application lecture series. This is my 11th lecture on Android development with respect to the module 2, and today we are going to continue our discussion on the toast, the spinner and the list view. So what did we discuss in the previous class? With the previous class we started discussing about the toast. What do you mean by toast? It is just a message which comes and goes away. It is used for mainly to notify the user for a very short period of time. So it will be displayed in the bottom of your screen, and it can be used while debugging or to notify the user, and it doesn't have any close or open or any such kind of actions you can perform on top of it. So which means it is a notification which can be used while when there is any new entry and without disturbing the existing process. So this is what the purpose of a toast. Now, and the next two things we started discussing, but we are not able to code it. That was the spinners and the list view. So what exactly is a spinner? Spinner tends to use, it is a display where you can list out a drop down list kind of a thing. So you can have many items set and you can select any one of the item out of it, which means you can perform an action on top of a spinner where it will list out the details and you can select it and you can make use of it. So that is nothing but a spinner. And where it comes to a list view is a fixed set of a static display in a list format. Either you can retrieve the data from whichever place you want. You can retrieve it from XML or you can retrieve it from a SQL database server, wherever you want, but it will display a list of items which are static, which means you cannot perform any action on top of it. This is the main difference between a spinner and a list view. You can perform certain operation, you can select the items in a spinner, whereas you have a static data displayed on top of a list view. So with this, let's start our discussion and continue our discussion on spinner and a toast. So before getting into the spinner or a toast, let me give you an idea of how exactly it works. Consider this is our XML file and this is our Java file. And now we have displayed a spinner where we want to have a list of items. So we have both the things on top of it. And now the XML spinner and the Java spinner both are different. Meaning it's the same, but both don't know what it is. So both cannot communicate on the same. So to communicate, we have something called as find view by ID and we get the access of this particular control. Now, when you have a data could be from a database. When you access the data through a Java file, the data comes into picture. So when a data comes into picture, you have to take the data from the Java file, has to access the data from the database, and then it has to transfer this data to the XML. This is a very important part which you have to remember. So what exactly? You want to display places. Consider the tourist places are there in this database. A tourist places, a table or data, whatever is there. You have to display this data in this spinner or in a list view. So which means how to do that? Through your Java file, you establish a connection to the database, and then from there the database you retrieve it, and from here, from the Java file, you have to give it to the list view so that it displays on top of your spinner. So which means, is this direct? So this can be a database, a DB, or it can be a XML file with full of data, or it could be a text file. The data can come from anywhere, or it could be from an array. Array is also a set of data, collection of data. So wherever you have a collection of data, we call it as a big data or a huge data. So it could be an array, it could be a text file, it could be a database, it could be a XML. So with this, now if you want to access all this data and you want to give it to the spinner, then you need something called as an adapter. This is a very important point which I want to bring it here. This adapter works in the principle of in such a way that adapter retrieves the data from all these things and it converts the data to the spinner. Here also we will be using a spinner, Java spinner, which will be referred with Java spinner, and from this data it will be converted to a spinner. So consider in an array I am going to use list of places. What are all the places? It could be Mysore, it could be Bangalore, it could be Mandya, whichever it is. So that this array data I want to give it to the spinner to be displayed. So how do you do it? Through this adapter, I'm going to fill all this data to the adapter. From this adapter, I'm going to fill it to the list view. When it comes here, it will be displaying Bangalore, Mysore and Mangalore. So this is how it works, which means adapter is a interface between these data and to the spinner or to the list view. So adapter is a one thing which retrieves the data from the source and gives it to the respective control. What exactly we are trying to say here is we cannot directly link the spinner to any of these databases, any of this data, XML, DB, we cannot do that. Which is very easy when in .NET actually. In .NET you can directly connect a drop down list control to a database. But that's not possible when it comes to your Android, wherein you have to make use of an adapter which can directly interact with the database and the spinner. So with this knowledge, let's start coding our spinner and our list view. Okay, let's start the coding. I'm going to show you the coding part, spinner and a list view. Okay, where did we stop in the last code? Last code we had stopped it in So we have stopped it with the toast actually. We have displayed the toast. Okay. So what do we need? We need a spinner. So the same toast program, where in the same toast I have created a project called toast, spinner and list view. We are done with the toast and I am going to continue with the same project for the spinner and a list view. This is purely because it takes more time if I try to create a new project and so what I will be doing is I am going to modify the existing project so that the building time can be reduced. It is taking a lot of time. Let me delete the existing button. We had a button. It is taking more time, sorry. I'm going to close a lot of applications which are not required. My system is getting slower. Hopefully this could resolve the problem. Okay, now before it gets stabilized, let's see the code part, and then I'll do what I'm going to do is I'm going to include the control called as spinner over here, and with this spinner what I'll be doing is I've created an object for it without any references. It is empty, it is null by nature, and I'm creating array of places. The project which I'm trying to do here is with a array of strings with the numbers which I have given here. And these numbers I want to display using a spinner so that you can select it on top of it. So now what do we do? What are the controls we have used? We have used a spinner control for which I am doing a find view by ID, and then very important aspect is our Arrayadapter. So I am going to make use of Arrayadapter wherein it ensures that it takes three parameters. One is the current context, Arrayadapter of a current context, and I'm specifying it is also nothing but an array of strings only. Then it makes use of the control which you want to, what kind of control you want to use. It is a drop down list kind of item, and then I'm going to give you our string array of string object. So the three parameters, one is the current context and the controls ID, whichever the layout ID in fact, and then once it is done, all we have to do is we have to fill this adapter. We have to fill this, you have to give this adapter to the spinner. What is a spinner? SV, set adapter, SV dot set adapter. This ensures that it is filled, the data is filled onto the spinner. Okay, this is what exactly we are trying to achieve. Now, I'm going to delete the existing button. It is taking a lot of time. Okay. So now let me drag and drop a spinner. I'm going to drag and drop a spinner. It is taking more time, just have patience. So spinner is ready. I want to set the constraints. My system is behaving very slowly, so please spare it. Please bear with me, it is taking a lot of time. Android doesn't seems to be working. So very less code. All I need to do is I need to go to the Java file. Now the spinner has been placed. Now it's time for me to create a spinner here and link the adapter to that. So how do we do that? So let me remove the previous code, whatever we have. So I don't want any of this button, the toast, any of this. So it's pure code. And now what exactly we need? We need a spinner. Spinner is equal to, of just declaring it, and then I need a string of arrays, places I'll call. This is one of your program as well, using a list view where you have to display the array of tourist places on with the app. So consider Mysore. I'm going to have a list of array strings. Bangalore, Mangalore. Okay. So I have declared the spinner. A spinner is not available. So Alt Enter. So import the class. So Alt Enter, import the class, and then so spinner I need to find the ID. SPN is equal to spinner find view by ID or dot ID dot, which is a spinner we have used. We have used spinner ID, so it is done. So now we have to declare an array adapter with the parameters, for which I am going to copy that line code I'm going to place it here. So I don't have a places, so what I'll do is I'll give my places. What was my ID? Places. So Arrayadapter, alt enter, import the class. So I've declared an object and then new, create an object of type string, because the Arrayadapter, this Arrayadapter can take any data type. If you want integers, then you use integer. If you want strings, you use. If you want objects, user defined objects, you can use the objects. This r dot layout and then the places. So we are done with this, and the last line is ESPN dot set adapter. What is the adapter name? ADP. So we are done with the coding. That's it. Very easy code. So what have we done? We have declared a spinner array of strings, because I'm not accessing any database, which means if I'm not accessing any database, I have to give some data collection of data through some part. So easy way was array of strings. So I've linked it. So now with this, let me run the program. The build has started. So once the build is done, it will be ready to display. You can have it at any point of time. Build is happening. So once we are done with the spinner, the same way we are going to do it with the list view, but a small change which we need to do. That's all the change we have to do it with the layout part. So let's complete this. The same code we are going to change it, convert it into list view. It is also very easy. Once we get this spinner, then it will be good. So do remember, for your internals, you will be having a syllabus till list view. So I've in the second module, first module full, and in the second module till the list view for your first internals. Be prepared. All the do watch your videos, and the notes have been shared. It is getting built. Have patience. Nothing can be done. So we have to wait till the build is done. Once it is done, it will be available on top of the screen. It will be installed, and we can see a drop down list displaying directly. And few other things what we can tell you is, we can even for selection of that particular item, even that can also be displayed. Oh. Yes, now it might run. There was some connection. If it goes unknown device, then it will not be able to do that. So it has come up. You can have a look at here. So we have the list of items. If you want, you can select whichever you want. See, you can select BLR, you can select Mysore, or you can select MOS. So this is nothing but a spinner. So with this, I'm going to share you the next one, which will be going is with the list view. I'm going to do small tweaks. Observe it. How do we convert a spinner to a list view? First thing, I'll be removing the the spinner control. Spinner control will be removed, and first let me bring in the ID, then will let me list view. Let me bring the list view first. So list view is here. So search for the list view. Yes, list view is here. Drag and drop. So I have done the drag and drop. Go to the text. So list view have been brought here, but it doesn't have an ID. Remember, it doesn't have an ID. I'm gonna give the ID for it. I'll be removing the spinner. Don't worry. I don't need any spinner. Just to copy that. Okay, I'll be removing the spinner. I don't have anything to do with the spinner. The same code. But do remember, list view requires, very important part, the layout to be a linear layout, because we want to display it in a linear fashion. We need a linear layout. So the linear, I want to convert this constraint layout to a linear layout. So relative layout, not linear, relative layout. Relative layout. So I converted into relative layout, and my list view is in the bottom also. It has been taken the bottom tag. So the list view is ready. My XML is ready. So I want to any fix of the things that we can do it. So list view is fixed items. If you can observe it, it can be displayed. This is how it looks, a list view. Now let me take over. The naming has been spinner. So let me change it to the list view. Sorry. List view. Okay. Now let me go to my Java code. There I need to change the spinner to list view. Change it to list view. So now I do not have a spinner, I have a list view. I am just changing the spinner to list view, nothing else. I am not doing anything big here, no my major changes here. Only thing is I am going to change it to list view ID. So this is a list view we have used in our XML. So it has to change it to list view. Okay, so this is done. Arrayadapter is there. So it remains the same. Current context r.layout. Support simple spinner drop down item, because it should be in a drop down kind of a thing. And this is our array of strings, that is places. Now the object which we have to use is our list view. List view. So we are done. So now only thing is we will not be able to select anything. So this is all what we can expect from a list view. So let me build it, and you could be able to see it on our screen. Okay, it is getting built. It will be in a fraction of, in a minute, it will be ready to display it on your screen. Hold a minute. Hold for a minute. Absolutely, there is absolutely no change. So the Gradle has finished its task of building. Now it is up for the installation. Once the installation is done, it will directly start displaying. See, this is a list view. So, and there is no drop down list, you cannot select it now. So it is just to display a static data information. So you will not be able to select. So what do you mean by that? A spinner, you can select it, which means how do you, if you want to know which item you selected and all those things, you have to write one more on click event function for the selected item. So on selection of that, you will be able to catch that event and you can perform the operations. Whereas a list view is purely a static data which you are to display it on the screen. So with this, we have completed our toast, our spinner and a list view. Now any other tasks which I have to tell you? So you can have events for these as well. You can write many other events for a spinner or a list view, which item you have selected over there. Those functions remain same across your spinner or a list view. So if you consider you have displayed all these items, you want to select Mysore, which is a selected item you want to know. So you will have to write an exclusive function for that. Either it is in a spinner or in a list view. What is a function? It could be a selected item. In that function, you can catch whichever the item you have selected over there, and you catching that, you can perform the operations, required operations, whichever you wanted to have it. So why do we need this? Many of the times when a database or with the list, you want to display a data in terms of a static or in terms of a selected items. So you want to, if you want to give an option for a user to select it, then go for a spinner. If you want to if you want to have just data to be displayed without any performing any operations, then you go with a list view. With this, we are going to end today's class, wherein we have learned a toast, a spinner and a list view. So to recall, a toast was a time variant message where we have to notify a user of with 3 seconds or 2 seconds, which we have seen. And we looked into the spinner where we develop a drop down list where we can select the items whichever you wanted, where you remember, but for both spinner and list view, what you require is an adapter. So it acts as an interface between your data or a database or a content and to a control. So spinner and list view will be in your XML and database or arrays or XML will be other side. So in between, in a Java, you will have an adapter which connects your database or array to a control. So this is without the adapter we will not be able to control, because this adapter can be used irrespective of the items as we shown you. It could be a XML, DB, text file or array. Data can come from anywhere. So with this adapter we will manage anywhere the data comes, and it gives you the respective control. It could be a spinner or could be a list view or any other control which we have a grid view. So this is a very important aspect, because adapter controls, it knows all kinds of data points or a content providers, and then it gives you the things. With this, I am going to end today's class. The next class we will be continuing our discussion on Android application development. So thank you all.